Hi everyone, welcome to Play Hooky with me. My name is Roz, and in this video I want to share how to make these quick and easy wrist warmers. These are perfect for beginners or if you're wanting to zip up something very quickly. Working with this chunky yarn and a size 8mm hook, I was able to finish these within an hour, hour and a half tops. This pattern is also ideal if you have a stitch that you've been wanting to try that you don't want to commit to a big blanket or project. You can use this little wrist warmer here to give that a try. I've also added a bonus tutorial on how to add some yarn around the thumb area in case you want a little extra padding or warmth there. There are timestamps below to jump to your point of interest, so let's go ahead and get started. To take your measurement is super easy to do. Just take a tape measure or a strand of yarn and measure from around your knuckles down your arm, quite far down on your forearm. I recommend that you do quite a long one because that keeps the warmth in. If you want it to be shorter, you can always flip the end up to make a cuff. Mine roughly measures about 8 inches long. Of course, you don't have to do it that long. Just see what you like best and take that measurement. The next measurement that you want to focus on is around the palm of your hand. You're going to measure right between your thumb and your forefinger. Mine came out to about 8 inches, 7.5 to 8 inches. To begin, create a slip knot on your hook. And at this point, we're just going to make chains to the length that you want your wrist warmer to be. I wanted mine to be about 8 inches long, so for this yarn in particular, it took me 20 chains. Okay, once you've reached your length of chains that you want, go ahead and add one. That's going to be our turning chain. For this pattern, we're doing single crochets. Super easy, super fast. So go ahead and skip that first chain and work a single crochet in chain number 2. We're coming to the end of that first row. Finish with your last single crochet, chain 1, and turn. For my wrist warmer, I'm just going to continue on with single crochets back and forth, but if you want to take this up a notch and make it look a little bit more fancy, you could make a ribbing effect. And for that, all you're simply going to do is, instead of just going into both chains for your single crochets, you'll go into the back chain only. And you'll continue this throughout the entire pattern. In each stitch, for every round, you'll just be working into the back stitch. This will give you a beautiful ribbing effect that I think you're just really going to love. But for my wrist warmer, I'm going to work into both loops. I've chained one. I'm going to do my single crochet into that very first stitch there and continue on. And that's because I've already made my first wrist warmer and I need it to match. And this is all you're going to be doing for this wrist warmer. You're just going to continue going back and forth. We're going to be making a big rectangle. So what you want to do now is just keep building your rows until you reach that diameter around your hand. So I'm going to build a few rows and then I'll be back, and so we can kind of monitor where we are, and I'll show you how to keep measuring to make sure that you get this to fit your hand properly. Chain 1 and turn. Just a quick tip as you're working, once you've chained one and you turn, be sure to double check that you're going into that very first stitch. It's very easy to skip that. I just did that. My chain count or my stitch count is 20, and I was noticing that I was down to 19, and it's always right there in the very beginning that that happens. So easy to skip it. Okay, so I think I'm getting pretty close to done here. I've been continuing on with my single crochets, and my piece is measuring to about 7.5. This is a good time to go ahead and just sort of wrap it around and see how it's feeling. I like to put it where it's going to be placed. Do not tuck your thumb in because it will take in an extra inch, and you don't need that because you're going to be seaming around your thumb. So do not include your thumb when you're doing this measurement. I'm wrapping and it's easily reaching around all the way down. Feeling pretty good. Hard to show you the full thing at once, but yeah, everything's feeling really good. I want this to be a bit snug, but not too snug. So yeah, about 1/2 inch less than your measurement should work pretty well. Once you have your rectangle to the size that you want it, I like to finish off one side with an edge, a little bit of a border. And so I'm just going to do single crochets along one side. This is going to be the side that rests against your knuckles. This is optional. You do not have to do this. This is perfectly fine just as is. So really up to you. But if you decide to do this, when you're finished with your rectangle, go ahead and chain one. Do a single crochet in each one of these rows. So depending on how many rows you made, that should be how many single crochets you need to make. Okay, making sure that you have that finished single crochet edge at the top. This is going to be the piece that rests against the top of your hand and on your knuckles. We're getting ready to join the portion that goes from your knuckles down to the base of your thumb here. Typically for my wrist warmers, I like to seam about 2 inches. That is what fits my hand. This will vary for every person. So this is something that's going to take some trial and error to figure out what fits your hand best. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a moment. Go ahead and add your favorite needle to your strand of yarn here and fold your piece. We're going to get ready to start seaming things together. I like to use the mattress stitch, but you might like the whip stitch. The whip stitch means you're just whipping the yarn around and around as you go. It just sort of looks like this. This is whipping. Just on the outsides of your piece, just whip along. Very quick and efficient. But I'm a big fan of the mattress stitch, and we're doing the same thing, but I'm just going to be doing my stitches inside instead of on the outside. So that just means I'm going to go into the opposite side here to get started. And I'm putting my fingers to roughly where I think I want to finish this. I'm just moving in and out until I reach my destination. I like the mattress stitch because it sort of disappears and gives a really nice flat edge. Okay, at this point I like to try things on to see how it's looking. That's looking pretty good to me. If I wanted this to go up higher on my fingers, then I would add some more stitches here. And that was roughly 1.5 to 2 inches that I did there. Once you've got that finished, now it's time to attach the next side. Go ahead and pinch your piece to see where you want your seam to continue. I'm holding on to it just with my hand, but you can use a stitch marker here if you want to remove your hand there and you don't want to forget where you were. And all I do is I come back over, and now I'm just going to weave my way down until I get to where I want to continue seaming together. Here we go. And now I'm going to just continue doing the mattress stitch until I get to the other end. Great. And before you fasten off or weave in that end, go ahead and put it on again just to make sure that you like the fit. That looks good to me, so I'm going to go ahead and weave in my end and call this finished. To work the thumb, it's really easy to do. We're essentially just going to be adding single crochets around that opening. Go ahead and add a slip knot to your hook. This tail is going to be a pain for you. It does get frustrating. It tries to get in the way because this does get a little fiddly, but just be patient with it. I like to start at the base where the base of my thumb would be. I have 3 single crochets on each side roughly. So this side is a little harder to see. This is where we began, where we had our chains that we worked into. So you only have 1 stitch on that side that you're going to be working into. This side is easy to see. So whatever your stitch count on this side that's easy to see, just mirror it on the other side. So for me, that is 3 and 3. But what I like to do here at the base of the thumb is I like to do a single crochet together. I'm just going to be pulling these 2 stitches together. So I'm going to be working into this stitch and this stitch. So start your single crochet as you normally would. Yarn over, pull through, but do not finish it, just leave it on your hook. Move over to the other side and repeat. You're going to behave as if you're doing a single crochet, but you're not going to finish it. So you should have 3 loops on your hook now. Yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. And you've just completed a single crochet 2 together. Now working into those next 2 stitches or whatever you have on your sides, do your single crochets. I do like to do a single crochet into that seam that I attached the 2 sides, just to give myself some room in my thumb. That's optional, you don't have to do that. Now I have 2 left on this side. So that's 2 single crochets. And then I'm done with round 1. I've just completed 6 single crochets in total. So what I want to do is I want to repeat that. I'm going to do another round, making sure that I do 6 single crochets. Your single crochets may vary. Go ahead and try that on and see how it fits. It doesn't look great, but it will feel great. Yeah, that's perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fasten off here. I'm going to weave in this end and call that good.